So today I'd love to share with you a really easy way to get started growing sweet potato slips. And this is easy and it's clean. We're not going to use soil. And I just had a lot of very good results growing sweet potatoes in my state, which is North Carolina. It also happens to be one of our main crops here. So this is an inexpensive way to get started growing sweet potatoes because we're just going to use an organic sweet potato that we pick up at the grocery store. I also reuse this little plastic container that I buy my deli meats in. And so it doesn't get easier than that. You'll need one or two other pieces of equipment to get started. But the main thing is make sure that you are doing this and time enough to get those out in your garden because they need some time to mature and they need a lot of hot weather. So start your slips about 2 to 3 months before your air temperatures in your area warm to around 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And for me, that's usually I'll plant out my sweet potatoes in May or June. So just put your sweet potato in your quart container horizontally, and then we want to put water into the container so that the sweet potato is submerged halfway. And we're going to leave it facing the dry side up the entire time that we're growing our slips. So don't start flipping it around and making sure that it's all wet all over and everything, okay? Again, temperature is very important for your sweet potatoes, and you will put this on a warming mat. And you will need to change the water about every 2 to 3 days and give it fresh water. Now, after about a month, you should start to notice roots coming out of the sweet potato as well as green vegetation. So not only do I have this on a warming mat, but I also have it in a sunny window and some supplemental grow lights. Now, some of your warming mats can get very hot, and in that case, I usually will put a towel over the warming mat. But now I am using a warming mat where I can control the temperature. So that's over there on my Amazon storefront. This is the one that I'm using now, and just a few dollars cheaper is the one I used to use. And so that one is also on my Amazon storefront. But I recommend just using one where you can control the temperature on it. Okay, now before I remove my slips, I start to acclimate them to the outdoor temperatures, and so I will move them out on sunny days for a few hours, and then sometimes if I notice there's not going to be any cold weather, I might leave them out all day long and all night long. But you want to do that gradually. Just slowly move them in and out of your house, and then eventually you can leave them outside when you have no forecast of frost or even really chilly temperatures. Okay. So what we'll do here is we will just remove one of the slips from the sweet potato and gently pull it off, and you should have roots intact. Now, if you do not have roots intact, I will show you at the end of the video how you can also grow a slip from that. So that's what it will look like. So let's head out to the garden and I'll show you how we will do this directly into the soil. Make sure before you start doing this that you've checked the weather, that you are doing this on a cloudy day, maybe right before you're expecting rain, or maybe getting rain the next day. I grow in a square foot garden, as most of you know, and I will grow 1 slip per square foot, and I just amend the soil a little bit with some rich compost or rich potting soil. I want to make sure it's nice and moist before I put my slip in there. And we'll just remove one of these with some roots intact very gently. Just pull it off there. And now we can put this in the soil, give it a little bit of contact, make sure it's in there real good, and then top it off with a little bit more soil if you need to. And then I gave it a tag because I was not only growing orange sweet potatoes from the grocery store, I was also growing white sweet potatoes. That's one of the disadvantages if you're not buying your slips already grown. If you're just doing it this way, you don't really know the variety, but most of the ones that you get at the grocery store are called Covington. So anyway, I'm not sure what variety I had, but anyway, it's orange. So now, 5 months later, it was time to harvest those sweet potatoes. We had a frost, and as you can see, a lot of my vegetation turned black and brown on me. But actually, this was way too late to harvest sweet potatoes. I really should have gotten in there at about 3.5 to 4 months before they got so big. But I start when I harvest my sweet potatoes by removing all of the green off of the top, and then I'll just get down in there. Remember, this is only about 6 inches deep of soil. There's a weed block down here at the bottom of this bed. And so I grew quite a bit of sweet potatoes here, and again, it's just a great thing to have. They store very easily through the winter if you cure them properly, and I'll try to cover that with you in another video. And then if you store them properly, you'll have sweet potatoes all winter long. Now, let's say you get started your first year growing sweet potatoes and you want to make sure you have some slips. You'll probably get started early, and so therefore you can go ahead and pull off your slips and put them in some potting soil. Again, if you do it this way, you'll want to put them on warming mats and in a sunny area. If you have a sweet potato with some shoots coming out and there are no roots intact, just take that off, pull off the lower leaves, and you can put that in water. And also put that in a warm area with some light. And literally in just a few days, you will have roots popping out of those shoots. So it's so easy, and I hope that most of you can give this a try. A couple of years ago, I planted sweet potatoes that I had transferred to potting soil first, and I planted those in the square foot garden. I planted 4 squares, 1 per square foot, and when I harvested those, it was well over 29 pounds. I hope you guys have as much success as I have growing sweet potatoes. Thank you so much for watching, and have a beautiful day.